Good day, gentlemen. Throughout my 7-year relationship and through reading hundreds of books on love and relationships, I have uncovered a lie all of us men are being told. And this lie is in many ways responsible for even us driven and successful men not feeling good enough, not feeling at peace, and not being able to create the fulfilling, loving, and peaceful relationship we truly want deep down. And once I unlearned this, everything changed for me. I won't make you wait for this, so here's the truth. Needy usually doesn't mean that you're asking too much. Needy usually means you are being given too little. Now, you might think that you know what I mean with this, but I promise you, you don't. I need to go deeper here, so please allow me to go deeper here to explain this to you so you can also unlearn this and actually get where you want to go. So let's go deep as we watch the sun set here into the ocean, as we watch the massive waves rolling in. And no, we won't talk about any bullshit like blaming your woman for your circumstances or for your relationship. That's just childish. So let's not do that. And right off the bat, everything I'm gonna say here also applies if your woman is quote-unquote needy and that is straining your relationship. So I'll stay broad here for a second and then we'll go specific. Let me ask you this. What holds someone back from meeting their partner's needs? Are they an evil person? Do they not want to meet their partner's needs? No, most likely not. Because as humans, it's our nature to want to be loved and to love others. We're social animals, so we want to love. But giving love to our partner is only possible if we don't feel threatened. The moment we feel threatened in any way, we're gonna close down. We're not gonna give love anymore. Think about it, like a baby, a newborn. Would you ever not love that? Of course, like no. You're gonna love that because there's no threat. But with an adult, with a partner, well, we've experienced what it feels like to love someone and not receive that love back, right? Whether that's with a parent, a friend, an ex-partner, someone you went on dates with and then they ended up ghosting you. We know what that feels like. See, what happens in most relationships is that one partner, more indirectly than directly, shares how they feel and shares maybe a need that isn't being met. And then the other partner tells them, hey, it's not that big of a deal, like don't worry about it. Or maybe they tell them, what does that have to do with me? Like, what am I supposed to do? Or maybe they simply say, I want to help you, but then they end up never changing their behavior. And that can drive you crazy. I'll go deeper into that later on. Now, specifically for most women, what happens then is they feel like, hey, maybe I'm not supposed to feel this way. They feel inadequate in their feminine core because they have this need, but at the same time, they feel like, maybe he would love me more if I didn't have this need. And what will happen then is over time, she will close herself off to you more and more. And then in a relationship that previously was maybe exciting and passionate turns more and more stale and sexless, and you just become chore buddies. And a woman who has developed a genuine sense of self-love, who values herself, she will not stick around for this. And for you, it's the exact same thing if she's not meeting your needs. You feel inadequate. You question whether you should have those needs. Your insecurities turn from a spark into a wildfire. But here's the catch. Our needs stop being so super important to us once we had them met just a couple times. And this goes even for extreme needs that maybe come from past wounds, whether it was with attachment figures or whatever else. I'll give you an example from my own relationship and from my own life. So when I got into my relationship, I was very anxious. I talk about this in many of my videos, right? I was afraid of my girlfriend cheating on me, which likely to a big part of that was me getting in many ways betrayed by friends and getting bullied in school. So I thought that's how everyone will treat me. They will just talk bad about me behind my back. They will do things that I don't want them to do behind my back. And I was especially fearful when my girl and I were on long distance. And eventually, I uncovered that what would really help with that, a need of mine that I had at that time, was if she just calls me. Because what that would signal to me is she cares. She wants to spend time with me. She cares about me. And so at the start, when we figured this out, it was very difficult for me to even communicate this with her. I've mentioned that in multiple of my videos, but I eventually told her, hey, if you could just call me 3 times a day, that would be fantastic. And here's the thing, I didn't even pick up those calls. I was working 80 hours a week at that time, and so my phone was on airplane mode. I didn't even see those calls, but when I had dinner, I took my phone off of airplane mode. I saw, wow, she called me 3 times today. Let me quickly give her a chat, or let me quickly give her a call. That's how you say it. I'm German, sometimes my English is a bit fucked. But yeah, give her a call, give her a text, whatever. And the more we did this, literally after even a couple days of doing this, that need of mine went down so much. And now we're on long distance right now. And there's no need for me to have her call me 3 times a day, because I've healed that part of me through my own inner work and through her meeting my need, through me meeting my own needs and through her meeting my needs. And the thing is, this is good for both partners, because I feel much more secure, which is of course great, and that also makes me able to love her more, but also she doesn't have to put in this much effort anymore. She doesn't have to call me 3 times a day anymore, because I feel that part. It's like when an airplane takes off, right? It takes much more energy to take off from the ground than it takes to just glide through the air once you've reached your altitude. Same thing here. When you get that initial boost from the ground up, that's what takes a lot of energy. But you don't have to sustain that same level of effort, that same level of energy. That's what most people don't get. They think, oh, if I start meeting my partner's needs, I have to do that forever. No, you don't. You actually have to do it a lot less in the future. So then how should you go about getting your needs met in a relationship? Maybe in your current relationship, maybe in a future relationship, maybe even with a girl that you're just getting to know right now. Well, here's the thing. If she is a loving person, which most likely she is, otherwise you probably wouldn't deal with that. If she's a loving person, then she wants to meet your needs. And she's not lying when she tells you, I want to love you better, I want to meet your needs, I want to help you, yet she never changes her behavior. She's actually not lying. There's something blocking her from actually meeting your needs. Most likely what's happening, listen up here, like really listen up. I want you to understand this. Most likely what's happening here is that a need of hers isn't being met, and that is holding her back from meeting your needs, because she doesn't feel fully secure in your relationship. Now, I'll give you a brutally honest example here that most men would never openly talk about, yet so many men struggle with. I have a very high sex drive. My girlfriend, on the other hand, has accumulated a lot of sexual shame over the years simply by growing up in a world that shames female sexuality immensely. And this is something that many young women struggle with. Actually, almost every young woman that I talk to that's in her 20s or 30s now, they struggle with that. This sunset is crazy. Look at this stuff, boys. I thought I'd film a video at sunset today, you know, because it looked beautiful. It was raining in the morning, so I couldn't film at sunrise. This is beautiful. I'm loving these shoots right now. Anyway, boys, of course, this led to us not having as much sex and not having as passionate sex as I would have liked to, right? And I never understood this. I always thought that maybe I'm just not attractive enough for her, or maybe she just doesn't like sex. Maybe she's just lying when she's telling me that she wants to have more sex and wants to have more passionate sex, but none of those were true. She truly wanted to have more sex and more passionate sex with me, but some of her needs weren't being met, and she didn't even really know about those needs before we tackled this more and more. She didn't even know she had those needs until we actually uncovered this. Please note that I'm generalizing here, but for my girl, as for most women, it really came down to one thing, which is feeling 100% safe. Feeling loved, feeling seen, feeling accepted as who she is. And I'll just give you one example of how I met one of those needs, or those needs in general, that need of security, that need of being seen with her, because if I share all the things that I did, then this video would be 2 hours long. So one of the things that I did, which actually had a very big effect on her and on our sex life, was just checking in with her. Every time I felt her maybe pulling back during sex, or I noticed that she's maybe a bit in her head, she's not really present, she's maybe thinking about something else, I would just check in with her and just be like, hey, you okay? Or hey, how you doing? Or whatever else. Some like simple stuff, boys. Simple stuff. And I kid you not, this one small thing has done wonders in how freely and excitedly she expresses her sexuality with me. And of course, this might not work with every woman. Some women might fucking hate this. And that's why we can't just learn about female nature or some of this bullshit, but we have to learn about the one person that we're actually with and what she needs and what we need ourselves, right? Now, here is the one lesson that is the most important in this entire video, because I always keep the most insightful things towards the end of these videos, so only guys like you who are actually paying attention here, who are actually watching these videos fully, get these lessons, because I don't want some dork who watches 2 minutes of this video and then moves on to some bullshit Mr. Beast video. I don't want that guy to get these lessons. So here we go. This whole video was inspired by a conversation I recently had with one of my clients, because we talked about this exact topic, and after me telling him everything that I've just told you and a lot more, he asked me one simple question. And he asked me, will it always be on me to fix things in my relationship? And then he added that it just feels fucking exhausting to always have to do that. And I get that. I've been at that point. But now it doesn't feel like that at all to me anymore, because I've learned one simple thing. I'll tell you what I told my client. There's this guy named G.S. Youngblood, who is a man whose work I've studied quite deeply. And he has this quote where he says, "You may or may not be the problem, but you are the solution." He says that because it frankly doesn't matter who or what is the problem. What matters is you see a problem. You have identified a problem. And what matters then is that you do something about it. And not because that's your role as a man and that's because you have to do that as a man, but because you have to do it as a human with integrity. Simple as that. Because here's the thing, maybe she doesn't even know that there is a problem. Maybe she's genuinely just unaware of that problem. Now, don't blame her. Also, don't blame yourself. Just take the lead in solving this problem. Look, taking the blame or blaming her is what boys do, because it's easy. If you take the blame, then maybe there's less conflict and maybe then the relationship doesn't break apart, or at least that's what you think, right? It's not actually true, but that's what you think, of course. That's what you tell yourself. And of course, blaming her protects your ego. Be brave enough to share your concerns. Be brave enough to share your inner state. Be brave enough to share what's going on behind the mask. Especially if you want to be seen as a leader by your woman. And brother, this is what you do in all other areas of your life anyway, right? This is what helped you build the success for yourself, whether it's in business or in sports or in health in general. In those pursuits, you took on an internal locus of control, which is what us driven men do to reach our goals, right? Because we're the kind of men that believe that we can put a dent into the universe, as Steve Jobs used to say. We believe that we can in some way change the world. And because of that belief, we actually do end up changing the world. But we sure as hell know that that won't happen if we blame other people or blame ourselves for how bad things are. Brother, if you try all of this, and then there's no reciprocity from her, and there's no change, cool, move on. Maybe she's not right for you, or maybe she's just not ready for that kind of love. That's okay. But before you try all of this fully, you can't justify moving on from this. Because what will happen then is you will just still be the same person, still be the same man, because you haven't overcome the challenge, you haven't learned the lesson, and so you will attract the exact same type of woman again. And you will end up in the exact same situation again 1 year or 2 years down the line. And then you'll realize, oh shit, maybe I should have tackled this. And oh shit, maybe if I had tackled this last relationship wouldn't even have had to end. Bro, my English is fucked. You know what I mean. Now I know that I just threw a lot at you. And I just want to take a moment to encourage you and tell you that you can absolutely do this by yourself. And for the men who don't want to spend years on learning this stuff through pure trial and error, those men who don't want to risk losing their relationship while doing this trial and error thing over years, or don't want to risk maybe meeting a great woman, if you're single right now, meeting a great woman and her not wanting a relationship with you because you haven't learned this stuff. If you're in that position right now, then I want to offer you my help. And I want to explain to you how you could literally be talking to me personally within a couple hours from now. Because look, man, I've already helped a bunch of men who were in a very similar position to you, and they came to me asking for help, and they became my clients, and through us working together, they were able to build this inspiring, fulfilling relationship that pushes them, that encourages them, that supports them, that helps them achieve their goals. This relationship where their woman is so radiant, so joyful, so supportive, so loving, and they feel at peace. They feel grounded. They feel supported. What I offered these men is the same thing that I'm going to offer to you right now. So listen up. What you can do is you can schedule a free alignment call with me personally. Yes, it is free, and yes, it's going to be me. But this is not a free coaching call. This is not for you to ask me some questions for 60 minutes to solve some surface level problems in your life. No, this is so we can figure out whether it makes sense for us to work together in a bit of a long-term format, usually 12 weeks, so that we can actually figure out exactly what is actually holding you back and actually work through that and actually get you to the other side of this, because that's what I'm here for, to help you make a deep transformation. So if that sounds interesting to you, no strings attached, of course, right? If we get on this call and we end up not working together, that's completely fine by me. I just want to offer you this opportunity because I know that a lot of men need this right now. So what you can do if this sounds interesting to you is you can click the link in the description of this video right now. It will take you to a page where you have to fill out an application. I have to do this because there's a lot of men wanting to work with me, and I need to kind of filter out who I get on calls with and who I don't, right? So you fill out this application, and if your application is accepted, you will be able to schedule an alignment call right then and there. You'll just be forwarded to the next page automatically, meaning if you fill this out right now, you could literally be talking to me in a couple hours from now if my calendar is still free today. And if it's not free today, it will be free sometime over the next few days. So dude, check that out. Stop sitting around. If this is something that you want to do, then do it. And perfect timing. I think the sun just went down. I'll see you soon, man. Schedule that call if you want to. What the fuck was that? Have a great day. I'll see you soon.